Buying houses at foreclosure auction can be an amazing way to build massive wealth in the world of real estate, but most people have no idea how that process works. That's why you're here, and that's why we're making this video, and that's why I'm freezing my butt off so you can subscribe and learn how to buy a house at foreclosure. Now, today what we're gonna do is we're gonna take you through the steps of how foreclosures work, including how to register, how to come up with a bidding strategy, and how to win a house for half price. So why would you want to go to a foreclosure auction to buy a property? Well, the bottom line is that's the best way you can start, by getting a lot of equity into a property. If you're going on MLS and you're buying something and competing against, well, an entire market of people looking to buy a turnkey property, you don't have the ability to develop equity in a property because you're buying something that's finished and already maximized in its potential. With foreclosures, you're getting some equity and getting it at a discounted price, largely because you're taking a risk, and then probably because you're gonna have to do something to the property. These things aren't always a little slice of heaven when you start off with them. So that's the important thing to know, is there's a huge difference. When you're buying something on MLS, you're usually getting to access the property, do a full inspection. You know what the property is before you buy it. With foreclosures, it's almost always the exact opposite. So for us, it was really, really important for us to start off by taking some risk, developing the property, and building equity in it by starting that process, and as opposed to going to MLS, buying something with razor thin margins, or maybe actually having to pay over asking price because so many people are competing. Most people don't know about this stuff, so we found ourselves an amazing opportunity with very, very little competition. So let me walk you through the steps of our experience buying this property specifically right here. Now, the first thing we did is we researched websites that were auction companies. So basically, an auction company is being hired by a bank, in this case, to foreclose on a mortgage that had been paid for a long time. So we found an auction website that posted this property for sale, the date, and the terms about it. Now, that means what you need to do to prep for the auction. A lot of these auctions, you're gonna have to have some kind of a deposit. They're not gonna want people just showing up at the place, putting in ridiculous bids, and then disappearing. So they wanna make sure they're weeding people out from doing something like that by requiring you to have an auction check. Man, I'm the proud owner of this amazing door. This is great. Basically, once you know where it's gonna be, when it's gonna be, and what you need to bring in terms of a deposit, you can show up for the auction the day of it, get here a little bit early because you're gonna wanna do some due diligence at the actual location. This thing's in rough shape. This door has seen better days, man, the whole thing. So that means we roll up with an auction check. And in this case here, the deposit was only $5,000. So on the way here, we pulled over, we got a $5,000 deposit check and had it ready in hand for the auction. We show up at the property, we register with the auctioneer, we give them our information, we show them our check so that they know we're a legitimate bidder, we're now registered and locked in the bid, and we continue our due diligence process. So the due diligence process at this point is kind of doing our best to figure out what's going on with this property. Now, you might not know this, but you don't get to go in and get a private tour of most auctions. You actually don't really get to do much in terms of seeing the property or knowing anything. They're not furnishing any real information for you. So in this case here, you're mostly bidding from the sidewalk and bidding on a mystery box, like I always say. And that can be pretty scary for some people. So in this situation, we could determine that the place was vacant. We could see that the lawn was overgrown, there was no car in the yard, broken windows, there were some issues. So we got the feel from our vast experience that the place had nobody living in it. So we felt a lot more comfortable kind of doing a lap around the outside of the house and getting some more due diligence information to help discover what our rehab estimate was gonna be. So we do a few things, right? You pull up at the auction, you have your auction check, you do your best to do your due diligence at the property when you get there in person, figuring out what your rehab expenses are gonna be, and you also run comps. Now you can do that before you get here, but you run comps on how much this property, this little slice of heaven, is gonna be worth when it's all fixed up. So you do that by looking at similar homes in the area that have sold, all fixed up, in a recent time frame. And then you get a pretty good idea of what this house is gonna be worth when it's done. So you guys are actually able to see the inside of the house now of what we actually did win. And by the way, we paid $70,000 for this place. And to me, it looks like this was a functional home right up until I think the former owner probably passed away some years back. And then the place just sat vacant until the bank eventually foreclosed on it and held the auction. But this was a functional home and we bought it for $70,000. What I'm seeing here is, listen, this is super out of date. Don't get me wrong, there's a phone with a cord and you know, everything right on the wall. Who knows that I'm here? Hello? No, I'm not interested in renewing my car's extended warranty. My God, you people. An old stove with pilot lights still on it. So this is definitely an old property. However, this isn't exactly a horrible thing for us. We're excited to be able to give this thing some renovations and a facelift. And to me, if I was, like maybe yourself, looking for a home that you could buy at a fraction of its value, you could actually move into this place with very little work and start fixing it up as you live in it. This is working shelter. Clean it up, paint it, and then do the floors, do bathroom updates, kitchen updates little by little. We're talking Home Depot weekend projects as you go. Let's check this place out. I mean, this is not that bad. And the nice thing about it is it's it's a smaller home, so you have very low energy costs here because you're gonna have a heating system that doesn't have to heat thousands of square feet and multiple levels and all that. You have a bathroom that, I mean, come on, pink tile. Matt's gonna feel right at home in this bathroom, I'm telling you, just saying, it's cozy for him. He's gonna love this. But it's not a huge bathroom. This obviously needs updates. It needs a priest. This doesn't need a contractor. This needs an exorcism. But still, it's gonna look nice when it's done, and it's not gonna cost you a fortune to renovate this. It really just isn't. So yeah, one of the things you need to do when you get to the foreclosure auctions, figuring out your budget, coming up with that bidding strategy, and figuring out, exactly how you're gonna start working this bid, because what's gonna happen, right? You're gonna get there, you're gonna register, you're gonna figure out, hey, how much this place needs? It needs 50 grand worth of work. That's cool. Then you gotta figure out what it's worth when it's all fixed up. Once you do that and you get your formula going, you've come up with your maximum allowable bid. And now you're off to the races. You've gotta start competing against, well, not just potentially other bidders, but you gotta start competing against the bank. Yeah, this is gonna have a process similar to eBay, and similar to how you have a reserve bid. And what might shock and sadden you a little bit is that the bank is probably gonna bid whatever the former owner, or still current owner at that moment, owes on the property. They're almost always gonna bid a bid on the property, and it's kind of like reserve. So somebody might have had a really high reserve bid on a property, and your maximum allowable bid is never gonna touch that. So that means you're just gonna pretty much walk away from the auction empty-handed. In this case here, that's not what happened. We ended up bidding $70,000 and being the winning bidder. We were pretty psyched about that. But you're gonna get an auction kicking off. Usually the bank is gonna submit an opening bid. It's basically their reserve bid. It's what the lien probably was on the house. The bank might throw out a bid, hey, $150,000. And now the other people that are there, yourself, maybe other competitive bidders, are gonna start bidding higher than that if they felt with their numbers and you felt with yours that the house is worth that much more to you. And sometimes, it'll be a steal. Sometimes the bank bid is very low. Your maximum allowable bid might be $70,000. The bank might start out at 85. And now you're gonna be competing against whoever else showed up. And you know what? Not that many people show up. Maybe more people will if they were subscribing here and watching these videos, but seriously, you might look around and see that you're the only bidder, and you might just bid 85,001 penny and turn around and own that house for half of what you were willing to bid before, with that being a great deal for you. So this stuff can happen, it does happen, and it will happen for you if you learn before you leap, buy our book, subscribe to our channel, and watch some more about this stuff, but you gotta go to these auctions to start winning. There's a lot that can go wrong at foreclosure auctions and buying properties like this, and most of it's gonna be your fault, frankly. It's a lot of mistakes people make, especially people that are new to this stuff. So don't go blaming anybody else but yourself if you do a few things. And really, it's not even if you do a few things, it's if you don't do a few critical things. One of the things is doing due diligence. Now look, when you go to an auction, right, or when you go to an auction website and you see a property listed, you know the address, you know the information. Don't wait till the day of the auction to do your due diligence. Start doing it early. And some of the things people don't do and space on until the auction actually happens, or even worse, after they've bought the place, after they've won the bid, they don't call the town hall. They don't find out from the city treasurer if there are taxes owed. And we've seen that. We've made this mistake before ourselves when we were starting out. We've bought property, we'll bid the $100,000 on it, that's our maximum bid. Maybe we stretched it a little bit because we needed a project. So we really, tip-top bid was $100,000, only to find out later that there were $12,000 in unpaid city taxes. And then we found out there's another $1,000 in water and sewer bills outstanding. You have to pay those on top of whatever your bid is. These are things that can really, really screw you up if you didn't do your due diligence properly. So you have plenty of time before the auction. You can call around, you can do your homework on this stuff, you can find out more about it. Honestly, you can also probably find out if the property is lived in or not by doing some due diligence prior to the auction. A lot of people don't know that if you buy a property with somebody living in it, it's up to you to resolve that if you're looking to resolve that. You don't have the place vacant just because you bought it. It doesn't mean that it's going to be vacant when you close on it. Big misconception. So those are a couple of big mistakes people make that could really, really screw up your plans and screw you over if you don't learn about how to do these things prior to the auction taking place. So, I mean, I'm checking out this upstairs and I'm thinking this is amazing because there's a lot of value add to be had here by finishing this stuff off and turning this into more nice livable square footage. That's another great thing that you can do when you get a property from auction is figure out how you can turn it into something even better than what you were originally anticipating. So if there's something I haven't covered that you guys want to know more about, I need to know from you. What would make you feel more comfortable getting ready and feeling equipped to go to an auction and hopefully win a home run like I think we did here? If you want to learn more about this stuff, please let me know how we can help you, how we can show you from our experience, from going to thousands of auctions and buying hundreds of properties just like this by giving us a comment. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed and rang that notifications bell, make sure you do so because you're going to want to see more about this property, right? If you've been following this and you're motivated and you're ready to turn your life into a successful real estate career, well, you're going to want to see the process of this house and some of our other projects as they play out on our channel. So make sure you do all those things. Subscribe, comment, and ring that notifications bell.